I want to start off with an important question. Do you belong to yourself or do you belong to the people you're afraid of disappointing? It's a question that you may have never asked yourself, but yet have found yourself in the situation where you feel the disappointment. You feel the change in energy. You are noticing the change in facial expressions, and you immediately feel that sunken feeling in your stomach. You feel the tightness in your throat, and you go into the mode of fixing, pleasing, and appeasing. If you've ever experienced that, I'm going to unpack exactly why disappointing others can feel dangerous in this episode. Now, I first just want to start with a story because this is something that I've experienced in my life many times, where I've walked in the room, I've felt the change in energy, I've noticed the facial expressions, and I immediately thought, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Is this about me? I immediately went into that mode of taking on the responsibility for the shift and in the energy and the tension in the room. And this is something that would stick with me. So even if I couldn't fix it or understand it, I would take it home with me. I would ruminate on it, wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about it. What was that about? Trying to understand who could possibly be disappointed in me. And I thought, what is wrong with me? Like, why do I keep on thinking about this? Like, I know cognitively this isn't about me, but I would take on the responsibility of it. And I would try to soften things. I would try to keep things harmonious. I would try to make sure that I didn't do anything wrong. And there's something that goes on deeper with this. So if you've ever experienced that where you've walked into the room and you felt immediately that somebody may be disappointed in you, or you try to fix things, smooth it over, please, appease, try to seek out approval from someone, this is exactly what you may be experiencing underneath all that. That we are wired for connection. We are wired for a sense of belonging. We experience that from babies. We are connected to our caregivers. We rely on them for survival. And as we get a little bit older and we become kids, we still rely on them for our survival. And we learn very quickly how we need to act and behave in order to maintain that connection with them. And especially if you've grown up in an area or environment where love was conditional and where you maybe had someone who was critical of you and you had to constantly adapt yourself to navigate that situation, or you felt like you had to perform a certain role in order to be accepted and approved of, then you learned very quickly that your sense of belonging and connection relied on you showing up in a very specific way. And if you're someone who has maybe abandoned yourself for a long period of time, you've become very accustomed to pleasing others, taking care of their needs, their emotional needs, appeasing them, hiding your truth, softening your boundaries, just to keep the peace. And the moment that anything feels like they could be disappointed in you, it feels like an internal threat. It's not that you're viewing it, oh, they're disappointed in this situation. It feels like a threat to your connection with them, to your sense of belonging, because this is how your nervous system has been wired. And so there becomes this situation where you rely on the outside world for your sense of safety. You rely on connection. You rely on a sense of belonging with others. You rely on approval from others, validation from others for you to feel safe within yourself. And anything that could possibly interrupt that, such as someone being disappointed in you, feels like an actual threat to your system. And the only way we can change that and transform that is to no longer rely on seeking safety outside ourselves. We need to seek safety within ourselves and realize that we are connected to ourselves. We belong to ourselves. And that someone's disappointment doesn't mean that you necessarily did something wrong. It just means that you maybe have not adapted to that role the way that they expected you to. It may mean that you are changing things. You're choosing differently. And once you start to recognize that and you see that there are changes in this expectation of the role that you're supposed to be playing, that's when everything starts to shift. Because you start to choose what feels right for you rather than staying in alignment with what someone else desires for you. And so I want you to ask yourself this question: do I belong to myself, or do I belong to the people I'm afraid of disappointing? It may be a question you have not asked yourself ever, or maybe not in a long time. And it's that sense of belonging with yourself that needs to take that precedence over anything else outside yourself. But in order to belong with yourself, you have to be able to sit in the discomfort that knowing other people will be disappointed in your choices, and knowing that you choosing yourself may disrupt the harmony of those relationships. And that can only happen when you start to take back your power and release your need to feel that sense of belonging and connection outside yourself. If this has spoken to you and you find yourself in that situation where you are constantly seeking validation, approval, and harmony outside yourself, and find yourself pleasing and appeasing and softening your truth, backtracking on boundaries just to make sure that connection is maintained, you may be abandoning yourself in that moment. And if that is the case, I want you to take my self-abandonment audit. It's a few questions that you can ask yourself to expose these patterns so you can start to stop outsourcing your safety and start bringing it back in within you. It's in the link below. And if you have any comments or if you've experienced this, I want you to leave a comment below. I'll respond to every single one. I'll see you in the next one.